Well, hello, friends, and thank you for joining us today yet again. I'm really looking forward to this interview, and I'm going to say discussion and dialogue with Alistair Hawkes. As you know, she and I have studied with this neurofeedback, biofeedback, and all-purpose spiritual giant, Dr. Lianna Matulich. And it's my understanding that Dr. Matulich has just put out a new book that would be exceedingly beneficial for any and all to read. So what I'd like to do is focus our discussion here, at least at the outset, around that book and what Alistair knows about the book and the production of the book, and get into then the implications that this has for the whole sort of spiritual movement that is arising around this phenomenon called the shift. Because certainly in my work with Lianna, there were multiple stages of shift that unfolded, most of which, but not all of which, I've described in the videos that I've done here for Spirit Partners. But let's talk about the book, Alistair, and also then maybe you share something about the actual substance of some of those remarkable experiences I know you've had.
Yeah.
But tell us about the book, and we'll go from there.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Bill. I love speaking with others who've been kind of, I would say, mentored or um, led around by their noses. Sometimes I feel like that's what it's been for me and Leanna. The other day, I was trying to describe. She's been shoving this down my throat since I was in my 20s, and I'm nearing my 60s here. Beautiful, wonderful woman, Lianna Matulich, medical doctor from Argentina, is putting out her, oh gosh, maybe sixth book on the work that she's accomplished in her life, which is a combination of many different wisdom systems practices. So to name some of those systems, we'll just say medicine and Toltec wisdom, indigenous studies of South America, and as well as Buddhism on a couple of different continents. She is a multilingual powerhouse of information, and she has spent her medical career learning about the human anatomy, how wellness occurs in people, how we can facilitate wellness from a empowerment perspective. Lianna talks a lot about how she did not develop this system for illness people. And but what I've discovered through using it in my psychotherapy practices, it actually works for people who are struggling with mental illness or things like depression or anxiety. I've seen it work with that population as well. Leanna's just very, very adamant about keeping on the positive side of things. She does not like to feed energy into problems or psychopathology. She wants to only feed energy into the positive side of things. And that's what we're doing here in Spirit Partners, is
Well, thank you for
illuminating.
that. Well, let me add something to your long list of all the things that she's been into, because I'm sure it's encapsulated in some of those. But for me, it has been the capacity to understand the nature of energy and how energy flows interdimensionally, not only from what's in us and moving our physiological systems and psychological systems. Okay, I mean, we are bundles of energy in that regard. But I know you have a word for it. I call it the channels of energy, the channels of transmission, connection, I'm not sure what word to use, that are created from certain very specific sectors of our brain to certain dimensions, okay, of what's out there. And what's out there in terms of, I guess, what our good friend Albert Einstein would call the space-time phenomenon, the space-time universe in which we live. Because those connections for me and those incredible experiences that I've shared have linked into phenomena, timelines, etc., that were light years beyond my comprehension. I mean, or realization as a human being walking this earth in what we call three-dimensional reality, where those things were and what I connected with, I still haven't got it all figured out. I mean, it's just that phenomenal. So, however you describe that incredible genius that she had as a neurofeedback pioneer
Yep.
in understanding what the brain can do when you give it permission to activate these high frequencies that exist within the brain, okay, that are the gamma frequencies that go well beyond the beta frequencies. Wow. I mean, that just unloads amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Shouldn't say well, it unloads it, but it reveals, okay,
Yeah.
just an enormous universe out there.
It really is incredible. I have seen some brain maps that were a brain, just keep in mind a brain map is 1 microsecond of what the brain looks like. It's, yes, there's consistency over time, but we can't put too much information in the brain map alone. But when you see all of the centers lit up on a brain map, you literally can see with your own eyes what's going on when all cylinders are firing. That's what I like to call it. And
Good.
there are so many ways, there are so many systems, like I was naming Buddhism and Zen. Lianna had Zen teachers, Lianna had Sufi teachers,
Yes,
Lianna
yes,
has had
exactly.
so many different kinds of teachers. And what has happened is this biofeedback influence, the biofeedback, neurofeedback influence, has shown that when you combine any of the wisdom systems practices, of course, there has to be you can't just only train one point. You can't only develop one
No,
muscle. You must
no.
develop the whole brain. You must develop the whole body mind system. Otherwise, you're really just myopically focusing on not enough. But anyway, what happens when you combine biofeedback and neurofeedback with these ancient wisdom practices is acceleration of growth and understanding and awareness and higher consciousness, which is what you're talking about. We go and we have these retreat situations where we have a peak experience, and then it takes us a certain amount of time to integrate that peak experience. Well, as you practice your awareness exercises of power, and you use biofeedback and neurofeedback together with that, it's like getting in a rocket versus the Ferrari. And that's what's happening. And that's what this book really is about, is reminding people that everything that they have or need to be all that they can be is right inside of them. And they can unlock it with certain practices of power combined with certain neurofeedback protocols.
Well, if I'm going to put a word on it that of what you just said, and the word, let's do two words. One is synthesis. That is, the work is an incredible combination. Okay, and synergy is my other word, because when you put those different elements together from those different avenues of deeper work, higher work, spiritual work, etc., medical work, um, the combination effects, the multiplier effects
Yeah.
are what are so awesome.
It's
I
mind-blowing.
mean, and for her to have truly been a serious student of all of those things and done the grand synthesis and done the synergistic experiencing, which I know she does herself. Okay. Yeah, I mean it's really a unique opportunity to get into this work and benefit from it.
Yeah, it really is. She's a living demonstration, really, of what happens when you're focused on body, mind, evolution. And that's been her goal, really, is to evolve herself. But she's been mandated from her teachers to help humanity grow, and she keeps trying to renounce that obligation because she talks about how humans are really donkeys. And I admit, I it took me a long time to open up to this material because my life was so busy. And when it comes right down to it, my life is so enhanced by the system, the use of the system, the creativity that opens up in the pathways. You called them centers. We can call them meridian pathways. They're in your body, and they do connect you to your field, this morphologic field that contains us. And then beyond that, there are extra meridians that then connect us out there to the universe, and all of the wisdom that's just kind of floating out there in the collective.
Well, it's too bad that Einstein didn't get to meet Lianna.
I'm sure they would
That
have had a
would
blast.
have been a combination. All right. I mean, truly, you know,
Yeah,
two geniuses of a different order, but not really.
yeah,
Yeah, it would have been quite remarkable.
yep.
Well, let's do one thing before we venture further with this, okay? Let's mention the name of the book.
The book is,
Yes.
yeah, it is called Beyond Awareness is the Land of Forces. And this is a sequel, or just one in a series, a progression of her describing the system and how to accomplish what it is that you set out to accomplish on this journey to wellness. That's one of her other books, is Journey to Awareness. And I just always insert wellness because I'm working with people who are working toward wellness. Um, so it's really accessible, meaning um, being in retreat with her can be tricky because the level at which she teaches is very highly academic, and it takes me a number of times of hearing the material before I'm able to assimilate it. And this version of the book is very accessible with terms and processes and descriptions that are definitely scientific, but not so high level that you feel like you're reading a scientific journal that requires all of this, I don't know,
Well,
science.
advanced esoteric
Yes.
scientific knowledge. I mean, to
Yep.
understand the concepts and how the things work, um, because she's really pushing the frontier of that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
let's do one more thing. Let's spell her last name for people.
Nice.
Okay.
Mattulich, Lianna, Liana, Lianna Matulich, and her book will be available, I believe, the first week of May on Amazon, 2025.
Wow. Okay. So there is absolutely the good news. I did not have a hand in doing any editing or translating of what we call Liana-ese into more standard English. But I know Alistair was closer to it than I was. but I am really eager and anxious to see this book, um, because it's just, I mean, I can only imagine the gift that it's going to be.
Yeah. Yes, so hold on to your hats, people. We're talking um not just mindfulness, meditation, somatic practices that open portals within you and outside of you that help you connect with your the energy of the universe, really, that helps you use the elements and the particles and the quantum pieces that make up all of matter and learning how to organize them in really optimal ways within you.
Oh boy, fantastic. Yeah, I'm really eager to see it. I'll mention I'm really perceiving some connections here and some similarities between Lianna as a human being and Bill Spady as a human being, because we have both essentially announced that we're retired. Okay. And what I have not shared with Lianna is the experience that I share in the first of the videos that I have on Spirit Partners, where I talk about what was the experience that really broke all of this open for me. Okay. So this is a commercial announcement for that for that video, but it was the experience of realizing um, through the use of muscle testing, kinesiology, that I was holding a belief. And the belief was, you'll never be done working.
Mm,
All right. Well, here I am, 35 years later, all right, from the time when that happened, still working, except I'm retired. Okay. And so is she, even though she's retired, because the work is bringing, and she calls, in my case, she called it, I think, overly complimentary to me, the higher wisdom to people. Okay. That's the work. And she basically said, that's what you've been doing your whole career. Well, it hasn't been as high a wisdom, I'll say, as Spirit Partners is, but it was the wisdom of what do we need to do to transform our educational systems so that genuine empowerment could unfold for learners. Okay, I'll just say by the wholesale instead of the select few who end up at the top of their classes, et cetera, i.e., the intellectual elite. All right. So, anyway, yeah, we're both still working. Okay. But having fun doing it. I mean, having this Spirit Partners endeavor for me is such a joy because I get to interview people like you who are doing, who have these incredible gifts and are doing this wonderful work out there.
yeah.
And, we're putting it out energetically to let people grab the energy, as Liana might say.
Yeah, absolutely. And to really feel it and to be inspired by it and to be moved by it. I think that that's definitely one of the goals of Hike for Evolution is to move people into a state of awareness that is actually life affirming and promoting unity and higher states of awareness and consciousness because gosh, what's happening in 3D right now is really, it's really kind of awful. I was speaking with somebody the other day and talking about all of the hate that's going around and how it's really easy if you are not a discerning person, if you do not have good habits for managing energy. It's very easy to get caught up in the rhetoric. I don't care what side you're listening to. I think there's rhetoric across the board. And having the kinds of tools that Hike for Evolution provides from or from any system that you're studying that has to do with energy and evolution and higher states of awareness will give you the stepping stones to get out of that gross, um, really dark and heavy energy. Like, who knows what hurts those kinds of thoughts and feelings are vibrating at. But we really want to be in states of awareness where more light is coming in and more good feelings are coming in, and people are sharing good thoughts and good feelings with each other and what's happening out in the world instead of focusing on what's really awful. Yes, don't ignore it. Do what you can, send goodwill, and but don't get caught up in it because it feels yucky.
Oh, but 3D, the 3D paradigm, the what you see is all there is
Yeah,
paradigm, okay, is the separation paradigm where everything and everybody is different from everybody else. And
yeah,
we're all caught up in a comparison and competition game
yeah,
of who's going to be the best of all of these millions of different people out there, and who's going to get the benefit and who's going to get the reward.
yeah.
So
Isn't that the
this
truth?
work, if I can put sort of an interpretive spin on this work that you're doing and the work that is represented, I think by all of the people in Spirit Partners, is to show people who are in this 3D, this third paradigm, I call it, of existence, to give them a whole uplift to what I'm calling the fourth paradigm. And the fourth paradigm is the empowerment
Nice.
paradigm,
Yeah.
where we really take responsibility as individuals for, I'm going to say, looking beyond and learning beyond the
Yeah.
conventions of 3D. Okay, because what the work is that Lianna's describing, see, the work that she and others who are spirit partners here are opening us up to is the fifth paradigm. And the fifth paradigm is the unity paradigm,
Nice.
where we live and exist knowing that everything is connected to everything in unity rather than
Good.
in separation and comparison.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you're saying that your work, the Hike for Evolution work as it's called now, is focusing on the positive. Well, the more positive we can put out, the more we can attract positives back to
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
to benefit from this work.
Yeah. You
And
know
that's
it.
the whole reason. So the Bill Spady and Lianna comparison is really that I think the reality is you'll never be done contributing.
Hmm.
Okay? Because when you're contributing, it isn't work.
Yeah.
When you're just doing it for yourself in 3D survival mode, okay, then it is work. But
Yeah.
when you're contributing what's in your heart and soul, which is absolutely with her, I mean, it is a soul driven enterprise, one could
Yeah.
say. When you're contributing from that space, it doesn't matter how many hours you put in. and and sleepless nights you may have as a result, or whatever. Okay, you're riding the wave that your soul is here to ride this time around.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so, part of what people will discover here in this video and in the other videos is what road you want to take. What road is appropriate for you? And you, like me, we've discovered that there are many, many paths to the top of the mountain, and many of them are very similar and they are synergistic with each other. Um, and just a plug for, regular everyday consciousness, not everything has to be a peak experience. It's really wonderful
Well,
when it
that's true.
is. And
Well, yeah, you do have to do your homework and the basics.
yeah, you got to chop wood and carry water, and you've got to breathe, and you've got to um, anchor those higher energies and kind of be that bridge, be that um, expression of the higher energies.
Yes, well, it is all about making life here this time around work to the highest benefit
Yeah,
for the most people. Okay. It's just how do we maximize this trip to Earth?
yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
And help what's happening here on Earth rise above the chaos and the dissonance and the separation and the hatred
Yeah,
and the polarizations
yes,
that abound.
yes.
They just
Isn't
absolutely abound.
They absolutely do. I was thinking we had talked last week about what the topic of conversation might be today, and we had kind of landed on how would this material be useful for people when all of this negativity abounds. And a couple of the thoughts that I was thinking in that regard are how watching the patterns and habits that you have on a daily basis will help you know by noticing negative thinking and automatic thoughts. So there's this subconscious way that our brains operate. Luckily, I um, grew up with a fairly positive mindset. There are certainly times when I get caught up in some worry and um, I'm human, and so I'm just saying that's normal. But when you're watching your thoughts, when you're mindful of the level at which you're thinking, and when you're mindful that you have these tendencies towards automatic thinking, I hate that group of people, or I hate that person, or I hate that process, or I hate that, I hate that. What I've learned from the law of attraction is when you hate something, you still have it in your field. It's just in your field in a negative way, in a hating way. And when you can learn to see yourself with acceptance and gratitude and love, then we start to have this new understanding with ourselves. And when we have that new understanding, then we can start to see what beautiful things other people are expressing. I was just watching a Wayne Dyer video with my mom, and he said, when you change the way you look at things, the
Hmm.
things you look at change. And that is a shift in perspective. That is sometimes feels magical when you just have the power, you have the willpower to change your thinking and how the way you perceive things change, how that changes the way you perceive things. I just think that's so very powerful, and that's really what we're all talking about in this series, Bill, is how do we change for the benefit of the most? How do we do that?
Well, I'd love to share with you a little insight that I've come to in my work rather recently, even though it's all based around the word I've been using for the last 5 decades in my work, which is the word paradigm. Okay. And the metaphor that I've created for paradigm is that it is a prism. It is like letting the sunshine, come in, or any source of light, and then it separates into its different elements, color strands, depending on what's in that prism. How clear is the prism?
Mm.
How cloudy is the prism? Is the prism distorted so that nothing coherently can get through it, et cetera, et cetera? So, in that sense, our work is about clearing up the prism,
Yeah.
okay? Letting it be more transparent, letting it be more translucent so that the true, say, and I'll call it fifth paradigm reality stuff, can penetrate down in and start to change and affect 3D.
Yeah.
Because if we don't do that, the word prism becomes the word prison.
Yeah.
And we become trapped inside of this prison
Yeah.
of habitual thinking, habitual reaction, habitual response,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Love it. Absolutely. I'm remembering a Caroline Myss quote back from the 80s or the 90s, early 90s when she was teaching at ICEAM. And she talked about how these practices, all of the energy medicine practices, meditation, having a discipline it helps you become more energy than matter. And that's what it's making me think of is we become more light, really. We're able to express more light,
Mhm.
which
Yes,
is one of the forces.
more of, well, tell us more about, just give us a hint about what's in that book. If it's the land of forces,
Yeah,
uh,
beyond awareness.
what forces, okay, what forces beyond our everyday awareness, let's call it,
Yeah.
the life of tangibility, okay? What
Yeah.
forces underlie that and activate it and activate the evolution that we're seeking?
Oh, my stars. That is a conversation that could probably take years.
Oh dear.
But I will I'll give it a go to say something in a nutshell. The three forces that we work with in the first levels of Hike for Evolution are the force of light, the force of life, and the force of movement. All of those forces work together when they're working in harmony in phi ratio proportion. They help to organize and create matter in more functional ways, right? As energy and matter interact with each other, there's a friction that is created that starts to help promote the creation of mass. See the Higgs boson and the Higgs field, if you like, at the CERN Center in that might be France.
Um,
Um, so each of these forces has an expression in our annual year. We touched on it briefly in our conversation about the Enneagram. This is point 9 on the Enneagram is light.
no.
Point 3 on the Enneagram is life, and point 6 on the Enneagram is movement. And so throughout the year, we move through these periods of time where that force is more strong than at other times. We just are moving out of the force of light. Light is information, wisdom, all across the continuum, different qualities of energy in the force of light, very subtle energies. We all know, go out and look at the sun. It's very, very powerful, but unless you're staring right at it or you're getting a sunburn, we don't really think about it as being a power. But when you flick on your light switch and you see light and your house lights up, I mean, it's a powerful force. And however it's harnessed, it's important because makes things easier for us. I mean, the sun affects everything on the planet in really profound ways, particularly at this time of year. So we're moving into the force of life, where matter begins, or light actually begins to take form. And when we're in the force of light, we might be considering new ideas. We might be, chewing on new ideas. We might be intending new things. So this is how we would be in alignment with the force of light.
Yes.
And as we move into the force of life, we are planting seeds that will then become the matter. If you're talking about a seed, it will become the tomato in the force of movement. Okay, so ideas and then seeds and then matter over there in point 6 of the Enneagram. So beyond awareness is the land of forces, where we become aware of and we become capable of using the forces that are available to us in intentional ways. Once we've cleaned our field, nourished it, opened the portals, opened the channels, opened the pathways, created the pathways, created the new habits, created the new patterns of thinking, created the new patterns of behavior that then help us cultivate these energies that we collect as we do these movements of power, storing them in our cups. We can begin to, I want to use the word creator, but I feel really careful with that word because I'll just say it. We become capable of participating as partial creator in the world in the life that we are all living.
Well, let me using a Lianna phraseology, let me connect some dots.
Good.
Okay, because back in the olden days, one of the students she had, one of the people that she interacted with and worked with, is this incredible theoretical physicist, Nassim Haramein, okay, who has broken open and created, therefore, the ultimate synthesis in physics between quantum mechanics, which is the physics of the ultra micro, and the Einstein work, cosmic physics, which was how does the universe work? And those two fields have not found a way to theoretically gel and come together. Okay, he's done it, and he and his colleagues at the International Space Federation, they call themselves. They're located in a combination of France and Switzerland. They published and they have put out this paper, 140-page paper filled with all of these equations that prove how all of this fundamentally works and comes together. Okay? It unifies physics. All right. Well, Lianna has worked with this fellow who is so brilliant, so amazing, etc. He's created that unity. And I think what this work does is for human beings at the level of perception and sensory connection and other things we have as resources within us. Okay, it helps us make the connection between, okay, the totally within us, okay, the micro within, okay, the way that functions, and the macro out there, those higher dimensions, which are the fifth paradigm and beyond, All
Yeah.
right. Where true unity exists there. And, I mean, I see in what you're describing and in what she's explaining, I see how this, how this comes together as an aspect of, let's call it, the spiritual unified field.
Yeah.
That is, finally, Mr. Einstein's unified field got unified all the way down to the micro, which is the quantum
Yeah.
world. Well, she's trying to bring us up and it down.
Yeah.
I think it's both.
I agree. Yeah, both and absolutely. And there are ways, there are so many ways, so many systems to use. Um, but there's something to be said about combining and uh distilling these different like within the field of physics, all of the different elements of that, and combining and distilling so that then we get a coherent view of what's really occurring, and to be able to teach it is really incredible, like that you can teach it. One of the things that uh Lianna talks about is having spent many years, a couple decades in Tibetan monks, monasteries, with Tibetan monks in monasteries, learning practices on a daily basis, learning and developing the energetic body and the meditative mind, and all of those things, is that distilling it and then being able to teach it. Oh, that it takes something like 20 to 40 years to develop the capability of expressing gamma brain waves if you're just meditating. But when you combine it with
Oh, yes, yes,
movement,
yes, yes, yes.
when you combine it with movement and then furthermore combine it with biofeedback and neurofeedback, boom, 3 to 6 years, you can achieve those same states of gamma brainwave expression. It really sends things on a fast trajectory.
Yeah. And expands our potential for making a difference in the world and making the positive, contributing difference we'd all like to make,
Yeah.
right? And that's what gets expanded. That's what just
Yeah.
sort of gets, if you think of it as sort of, you know, dropping the pebble in the pond, et
Yeah.
cetera, and seeing the ripples go out. Well,
Yeah.
that's what happens.
And then you get to spend more time in personal freedom versus trudging up this hill of, well, 5 minutes of meditation doesn't get me much. It will over time.
Yeah.
You stretch those moments together and you add them to, you get a string of them, as the kids call it on social media. You get a string or a streak, and and then that's when the magic really happens.
Well, what this opens up is at a very practical level for people. Um, it breaks them out of paradigm prison. Okay,
Yes.
in the sense that it opens up to more possibilities, more options, better choices, more resonant ways that you could be doing things that you hadn't considered because you were on the treadmill, as it were. Okay,
Yeah.
that everybody loves to talk about. Well, this is this is a way of not only getting off the treadmill, okay, but let's just say getting on an escalator, okay, that that is really taking you, and I'll just say it in my case, it is just, there's no way in the world I could have ever anticipated that I would have had the kind of experiences or come to the awarenesses or done the kind of things that have been these incredible gifts for me for the
Yeah.
last 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, no way would I have ever thought that to be possible. Because
Yeah.
once you step, you see, off the treadmill and get on the escalator, once you get on it, okay, and it just begins to take you however little bit up, with every up, more and more, I mean, it's just like exponential possibilities open up.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, that's where freedom is.
You know it.
Freedom is free to see more, capable of seeing more, and doing more with what you see
Yeah.
if you choose to do it. It puts you, I mean, what expands out there is the whole horizon of choice.
Yeah.
I'm really free to choose this, choose that, whatever, whatever, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a huge focus on joy too. Would there, I don't think that, well, I look around on social media, on the news, of course not in the news. Nobody's focused on joy and what feels good. And if it is, it's a very small little like snippet here on public radio or something like that. But there's a huge focus in this system to think happy thoughts, to remember happy memories, to enjoy your every moment in your life, to really get oriented around the enjoyment of eating, of sleeping, of moving your body, of doing work that you love, of um, just getting oriented around the positive parts of life.
The conversations with you parallel the conversations I've had on Spirit Partners with my sister Shaw. Okay.
Nice.
And we've just had two of them. But what came out in one of them um, is talking about all the revelations that I've had and she's had, and on and on and on and on. What she said about me to me is every time one of these new, more wonderful things opened up, you were never afraid to take the next step forward about what opened up. All right.
Yeah.
And that's what this work has cultivated is never be afraid to take the next step, even though you don't understand what just happened. Don't be afraid to take the next step into more unknowing,
Yeah.
okay? Because it's in unknowing where the mystery lives. That is, how does this all really work? Well,
Yeah.
we'll never figure it out how it all works. But that the next level just opens you to greater and greater, vaster and vaster perspectives and realities and experiences. I mean, it becomes just exponential.
That's right. The courage to face the unknown and the curiosity and the
Yep.
excitement about it, right? Instead of anticipating something awful is going to happen, why not anticipating something good is going to happen?
You know what? In those conversations, and I'll bring this wonderful episode to a close, just in terms of time, but we'll come back here very, very soon. Um, but I was explaining to someone just the other day about my career, and I said it all sounds so impressive, because I went to this elite university and I got a PhD, and my first job was teaching in the graduate school at Harvard. And oh my God. And I said, and I got there and I said, okay, I've been on the achievement escalator. And I got there and said, there's got to be more than this.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's when that realization happens
Yeah.
that you've been in paradigm prison.
Yeah.
And the paradigm prison for our culture is the prison of personal achievement
Sure.
and status. Okay.
Yeah.
And the blessing was to get there at, the pinnacle of, oh my God, you're a Harvard professor on your first job. And it's like, yeah, but now look around. What's really here? What are you going to be spending your time doing? Okay. See, now that you've done all this wonderful stuff, now be real about, okay, is it all that wonderful or not? And you get to choose.
Yeah. Yeah. And the choice is very, very important. If you feel like you have a choice. Some people, I think, feel really so imprisoned that they don't see the choice anymore. And that's part of what we're trying to do is help remove that
That
veil.
is exactly right, to help
Yeah.
them see that there are choices.
Yeah.
There are choices, and at every step, as frustrating or painful or whatever they may feel like at the time, oh my gosh, I'd have to give up X if I were going to do Y.
Yeah.
And what would be the implications of all the people in my life who now will know I've just given up X? Oh my God, what will they say?
Right.
All right, and it's like, well, other wonderful avenues open up.
Yeah. Exactly.
They absolutely open up. Wow. Hey, this has been another of those hours that fly by for
Yeah.
us. Um, I think this has been just of enormous value to our listeners. Thank you for this. And
Be here,
boy,
Bill.
let's hurry up and have another one of these very soon.
Okay.
And yeah, and maybe you can use all your personal influence with Lianna physically because you get to see her. Um, get me a copy of that book,
I will.
not that I can't afford to buy the book,
Yeah.
but I would absolutely love to read the chapters, even if
Absolutely. I'll get you a signed
online.
copy.
Oh, a signed copy. Okay. Well, I used to say to people, okay, my book, whatever book it was, I said the book costs, the publisher that costs this, but it's $5 less if I sign it. Okay.
That's awesome. Yeah, good. Okay. I'll get
Okay.
you the reduced version.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you
Audience,
so much, Bill.
hey, thank you. This has been just wonderful. I tell my daughter, you can't believe how much fun that
It is
Alistair and I
fun.
have on
I enjoy it also.
interviews. Okay.
Yeah,
So I hope this has lightened and brightened your day and your week and your month and your year. And come back for more. We're sure going to do more and check out the other and rather incredible interviews with quite incredible people that we have here on Spirit Partners. So thanks and see you again soon.